शंखापूर्वक नाम गाननतिभि कालावसानि कृतं निद्राहार विहारकादि विदितं चत्तन्तं दीनं च यं गोपी भावरसामृता दिलहरि कल्लोलमग्नं नमो वन्दे।
Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Prabhupada Disciples Association Sunday here in Eastern Canada, Sunday morning Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam discussion and verse. We want to meditate today on the great austerity that Prabhupada undertook in bringing Krishna consciousness to the world. It was not an accident, but a tremendous feat of accomplishment by him. And we have been discussing Prabhupada's early days of travel from India. And today I thought we would read, before we begin the class, we would read a section from his diary. I had a few visitors come to my house in 1994. Brahmananda Swami and Gargamuni Swami came to visit me here in Hamilton. And when they came here, they brought these beautiful books, the diaries of Śrīla Prabhupāda that they had worked on to produce for the benefit of all of us. And I wanted to read from the diary in early August from Prabhupada's leaving. So he's still on the boat, leaving Calcutta and heading out into the sea. So this is on August 14th. Saturday, August 14th. It's page 44 of the Jaladuta diaries. The ship started at about 11 o'clock in the morning, majestically. I did not feel any jerking whatsoever, but on reaching the Bay of Bengal, there is tilting of the ship and a little rolling also. The roughness increased gradually on the upper Bay of Bengal, and I felt seasickness. There was vomiting tendency and dizziness, and I felt uncomfortable the whole day and night. The sea was foamy all through. It appeared like a big plate of water extending to 40 square miles, but actually it was endless, so to say. It is a vivid example of God's Maya because it appears like something, but factually it is something else. Sunday, August 15th. Śrīla Prabhupada writes, in the morning I woke up and felt a little better, but I felt no hunger. Took only a glass of lemon sakanji, lemon drink, nimbu pani. But the head dizziness is continuing up to 10:30. I was in the captain's room, radio room, chatting with the officers. In the radio room, they were dispatching news to other ships. The captain's room is full with nautical paraphernalia. I saw a chart of different appearanceable photo of the sea. The grades are 0 to 10 degrees, and I think we are passing on the sea between 4 to 7 points. The scene of the 10th point was furious, and the 12th serious. The captain advised me to take more solid food. And Monday, August 16th. Today, early in the morning, I saw that the ship is plying on the surface of the sea almost on a 0 degree of waves. Yesterday night was comfortable, and although I did not make my lunch, I took a little charamurki with milk, puffed rice, and chidwal. The ship ran all the night yesterday smoothly. In the sky, although not very clear, there was moonlight in the night. In the morning, there was sunshine, but after 11, the sea became a little more rough, showing foamy waves from distance. After passing the latitude of Trinipoli, we experienced a dark cloud subsequently raining all over the sea. The siren sounded on account of hazy vision to warn other ships coming from opposite direction. At about 12 noon, it is raining heavily and the ship is stopped moving occasionally, sounding the siren. There is constant sounds of thunderbolt. This is the first time I'm experiencing heavy rains in the midst of the deep ocean. From 12 noon, we are passing through cyclonic weather. The ship is tilting too much. I felt seasickness all day and night. At 3 p.m., the ship turned towards Ceylon coast, and we are now in the Ceylon water. So we're hearing here, right, Prabhupada's words, beautiful words of his arduous journey, unknown what would happen to him on the journey, what to speak, what would happen to him when he arrived in New York City on September 19th, 1965. Just quickly, I had a question posed to me this morning by one of the members of the ashram here. He asked this question, well, why do people try to save souls? What's the reason? And I gave him this answer, which is coming from the Bhagavad Gita. And it's from the 18th chapter, the conclusion of the Gita. And I'll just quickly read through this and we'll begin the Bhagavatam verse and discussion. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me. So this, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there be one more dear. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation worships me by his intelligence. So this is the motive why we serve our spiritual master, is because he set the perfect example of surrender to save the conditioned souls and brought Krishna consciousness to the Western world by his divine mercy. And we should all rejoice here at this group today that we are all Prabhupada disciples. So Venkat Prabhu, please, if you could play the Jaya Radha Madhava prayers, we can absorb ourselves. Please chant along from wherever you are and focus on the sound. The whole secret of Krishna consciousness is hearing without offense. Hare Krishna. Glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai.
Jai.
Ramacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai.
Jai.
Prince Gaur Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri
Jai.
Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhar ki jai.
Jai.
Vrindavan Dham ki jai.
Jai.
Navadvip Dham ki jai.
Jai.
Harido Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Jai.
Ramai ki jai.
Jai.
Jamuna Mai ki jai.
Jai.
Tulasi Devi ki jai.
Jai.
Bhakti Devi ki jai.
Jai.
Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Jai.
All glories to the Assembly.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the Assembly.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you very much.
All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Namo.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Cheva Narottamam. Naram Cheva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. We'll be reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 4. We are reading the English synonyms, translation, and purport are from the original 1962 Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Today's text is the actual text of the original invocation. Before we go through that text, we will read two other verses from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam describing the effect or the potency of reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 17. Srinvatam svakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtanaham Ridyantasto Yabadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Text number 18. Nashta prayeshu vabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Today we are reading from text number 4, chapter 2, page 131. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Narayanam, the personality of Godhead, namaskritya, after offering respectful obeisance, naram cheva, Narayana Rishi, Narottamam, the supermost of the human being, Devim, the goddess, Saraswatim, the mistress of learning, Vyasam, Vyasadeva, Tatu, thereafter, Jayam, all that is meant for conquering, Udhirayet, be announced. Translation by His Divine Grace, Śrīla Prabhupāda. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances. 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana. 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supremmost human being. 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Then 4, to Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. All the Vedic literatures and the Purāṇas are meant for conquering the darkest region of material existence. The living being is in the state of forgetfulness of his relation with God on account of his too much attraction for material sense gratification from the time immemorial. His struggle for existence in the material world is a perpetual affair, and it is not possible for him to get out of it by plan-making business. If he at all wants to make conquest over this perpetual struggle for existence, he must reestablish his eternal relation with God. And one who wants to adopt such remedial measures must take shelter of these literatures like the Vedas and the Purāṇas. Foolish people say that the Purāṇas have no connection with the Vedas. Actually, the Purāṇas are supplementary explanations of the Vedas for different types of men. All men are not equal. There are men who are conducted under the mode of goodness. There are others who are under the mode of passion, and there are others who are conducted under the modes of ignorance. The Purāṇas are so divided that any class of men can take advantage of them and gradually regain the lost position and get out of the hard struggle for existence. Śrīla Sutta Goswami shows the way of chanting the Purāṇas in the same way be followed by persons who may be preachers of the Vedic literatures and the Purāṇas. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the spotless Purāṇa, and it is especially meant for them who are desirous to get out of the material entanglement for good. Munayaha sadhu prishtuham bhavadbhiruloka mangalam yat krita Krishna samprashnu yenatma suprasidati. Munayaha, O the sages, sadhu, this is just relevant. Prishtu, question. Aham, myself. Bhavadbhi, by you all. Loka, the world. Mangalam, welfare. Yat, because. Kritaha, made. Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Samprashna, relevant question. Yena, by which. Atma, self. Suprasidati, completely pleased. Translation. O the sages, I have been justly questioned by you. It is relevant because there is public welfare in the question as they are in relation with Krishna. And this sort of questions only can please the self completely. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. As it is stated herein before, that in the Bhagavatam, the absolute truth is to be known. So the question of the sages in the Naimisharanya are proper and just because they are made in relation with Krishna, who is the supreme personality of Godhead, absolute truth. In the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead says that in all the Vedas, there is nothing but an urge for searching him, Lord Krishna. As such, the questions in relation with Krishna is the sum and substance of all the Vedic inquiries. The whole world is full of questions and answers. The birds, beasts, or the man are all busy in the matter of perpetual questions and answers. In the morning, the birds in the nest become busy with questions and answers. In the evening also, the same birds come back and again become busy with questions and answers. The human being, unless he is fast asleep at night, is busy with questions and answers. The businessman on the marketplace is busy with questions and answers, and so also the lawyers in the court and the students in the schools and colleges. The legislators in the parliament are also busy with questions and answers, and the politicians or the press representatives are all busy with questions and answers. But they go on making such questions and answers for the whole life, and still they are not at all satisfied. Satisfaction of the soul can only be obtained by questions and answers on the subject of Krishna. Krishna is our most intimate master, friend, father or son, and object of conjugal love. Forgetting Krishna, we have created so many objects of questions and answers, but none of them are able to give us complete satisfaction. Anything except Krishna can give us temporary satisfaction only. And if we have to have complete satisfaction, we must take to the questions and answers about Krishna. We cannot live for a moment without being questioned or without giving answers. Because the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam deals in questions and answers in relation with Krishna, we can derive the highest satisfaction only by reading and hearing this transcendental literature. Learn the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and make an all-around solution of all problems regarding social, political, or religious matters. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Krishna is the sum total of all things. Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakayam Chakshurunmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaham. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto our spiritual master, Śrīla Prabhupāda, who has opened my eyes, who has opened our eyes from the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhaktisiddhanta Shishyayam Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sarkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataham Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Shri Rup Sanatana Bhattara Gunatam Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I wanted to very briefly address that on Monday of this week, we'll be celebrating the divine appearance day of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the divine incarnation of Lord Radha Krishna. We'll be having the program at 6:00 p.m. Pacific time, or California time, which is 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we invite everybody to participate. What we will be doing is reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita and a few other selected literatures about the divinity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I also wanted to address one point here that was brought up by Vishwakarma Prabhu with regards to why are we engaged in trying to redeem various souls or various conditioned souls in the material world. Why do we keep doing that? Well, there's some very good reasons for that. One reason is this was requested by Śrīla Prabhupāda, the foremost Acharya of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. Excuse me. And also, this was the request of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested, Jaridakuk tarikoho Krishna upadesh amaragnya guruhai taridesh. That whoever you meet, whoever you happen to encounter, tell them about Krishna, speak about Krishna, and in this way become a spiritual master. This was the advice and order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the advice of all the great acharyas in our line, and the order of Śrīla Prabhupada for all of his followers, students, and disciples. But in the Bhagavad Gita, as mentioned by Vishwakarma Prabhu, Krishna himself is explaining that for those devotees who are explaining the science of Krishna consciousness, they're very dear to Krishna. They incur the favor of Krishna. And by hearing this great literature of Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we worship Krishna by our intelligence. So we see that all the great acharyas, such as Madhva, Ramanuja, Vedanta Desika, Vilayalokacharya, and in our Sampradaya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, the 6 Goswamis, Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baladevi Bhushana, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Śrīla Prabhupāda, and so many other great personalities, great Vaishnava personalities. They have all explained and made various commentaries and purports and explanations on Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We see here in this text that before they begin discussing the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, they're offering the obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayana, to the Narayana Rishi, the incarnation of Godhead, to Mother Saraswati, and to Vyasadeva himself. So the sages of Naimisharanya are offering their respectful obeisances to these great personalities, divine personalities. First, when we look at what they did in text number 1 and 2, paid obeisances. In text number 2, paid obeisances to Vyasadeva, to Shukadev Goswami and his great father Vyasadeva, because Shukadev Goswami recited the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam as he had received it from his father Vyasadeva. Originally, the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was spoken by Krishna himself to Brahma, called Chatushloki Bhagavatam. This is given in the 2nd canto of Bhagavatam, the 4 essential verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. During our Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita readings, we have reviewed these various verses and Prabhupada's commentary upon them. Then we hear that the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was spoken by Lord Narayana himself to the 4 Kumaras. We also hear that the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was also spoken by Lord Brahma to his disciple, Narada Muni. Narada Muni explained it to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva explained it to Shukadeva. Now we have all the great sages at Naimisharanya. They're inquiring from Sutta Goswami, the son of Ugrasrava, what is that great Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? What are we dealing with here? But before they start, they pay their respectful obeisances. Very important point. Why do we offer our respectful obeisances? I've had devotees ask me, well, why do you recite these Sanskrit verses before explaining anything? Why don't you just start explaining? Because we see in the Bhagavatam what they do here. Before they start explaining anything, before Sutta Goswami and any of the sages start explaining and hearing anything, they offer their homages. They offer their namaskar, their respectful obeisances to these great personalities. We see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Adi Lila, chapter 1, text 20-21, that one should recite and pay obeisances to the great personalities, the Acharya, to the great personality of Godhead, the incarnations, and the divinity of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Govinda, Radha Gopinath. And by doing that, all obstacles will be removed. Sarva Vigna Vinashana. And all of one's desires can be fulfilled. Because in the material world, people have so many desires. But we have to learn how to desire, how to properly desire. Yesterday, we were discussing the little booklet that Prabhupada compiled in 1958-59, Easy Journey to Other Planets, of how to desire going back to the spiritual world. Because we see in human society, they have a desire to go to other planets. They're attempting to make expeditions to go in space, claiming that they have reached the moon or whatever planet they may have reached, or Rahu or whatever. But that desire is there. That is a natural innermost desire of human beings to be free from the clutches of this material energy. So they want to go to other planets. So Prabhupada has explained nicely how to go to other planets. Easy journey to other planets by following the path of Bhakti Yoga. In Bhagavad Gita, we see in chapter 7, Krishna is explaining in a few verses from verse 20 to 25 why people worship certain demigods and what is the result of worshiping these various demigods, these various personalities, such as the sun, the moon, the various controller of these various planets. What is the benefit of worshiping these different demigods and why these results are temporary? In other words, if one is likely to achieve a temporary result, why spend so much energy? Why not achieve a higher result? Just like if somebody tells you, yeah, you can have this apartment for a month, 1 month. After that, you have to leave. You have to depart. Are you going to spend all kinds of money and time and energy to hire an engineer to redecorate the apartment, to tear down the wall, get a building permit, spend all kinds of money, redo the floor? Probably not. Probably not. That is not an intelligent task. Why? Because you're not going to be there very long. So the demigod worship is like that. What we are supposed to focus on is given by Śrīla Prabhupāda here. He says here very nicely in the last sentence of text number 5, learn the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and make an all-around solution of all problems regarding social, political, or religious matters. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Krishna is the sum total of all things. Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Vedanta krit vedavid chaham, vedeshta sarver ahameva vidyaha. That Krishna says, I am the person that is to be known by the study of all the Vedas. We see in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma is explaining, Vedeshu durlabam adurlabam atma bhaktau. That is very difficult to understand the purport of the Vedas. But if one becomes an Atma Bhakto, an intimate devotee of Krishna, then Adurlabham, it is not difficult. And that can be obtained by hearing from personalities like Shuta Goswami. So this is very important point. Very important point. Because we see here that Prabhupada is explaining nicely what are the Puranas. Why should one study the Puranas? Prabhupada is criticizing some impersonalists who think that the Puranas are less important than the Vedas. That is another foolish idea. The Puranas are supplemented literatures. Mahabharata, Ramayana, all the Puranas, Samhitas, these are all the sum total of all Vedic literatures meant to glorify Lord Hari. Vede Ramayane Cheva, Purāṇe Bharati Tata, Adocha Madhyecha, Arihi Sarvatra Giyate. That from the beginning, Ado Madhye Antecha, from the beginning, the middle, and the end, the aim of all these Vedic literatures is to glorify Lord Hari. That is the explanation of the purpose of all these Puranas. I was going to take the liberty of reading a lecture by Śrīla Prabhupāda in Rome, Italy on May 28, 1974. May 28, 1974 in Rome, Italy. Devotee translation. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is our very means of conquest, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author, Prabhupada. This is the parampara system. As you get knowledge step by step, Krishna is the original spiritual master. And then from Krishna, Lord Brahma learned the Vedic knowledge. Tene Brahmarida Adhikavaye. In the Bhagavata it is said, where from Brahma got his knowledge? Because whenever we want to get knowledge, we must approach a superior person to get knowledge. Tad vijñanartam sa gurumeva bigachet. Guru means superior. So who was the superior person when Brahma got knowledge? Because there was no other creature. He is the first creature. Therefore it is said the superior person was Krishna, but he was not present. We see Krishna was present before Arjuna, but nobody was present before Brahma. Therefore it is said, Tene Brahmarida Adhikavaye, Rida, through the heart. Because Krishna is situated in everyone's heart. Actually, he is the spiritual master, Chaitya Guru. So in order to help us, he comes out as physical spiritual master. Therefore, Sakshadaritvena, Sama, spiritual master is representative of Krishna. Krishna sends some sincere devotee to act on his behalf, and therefore he is spiritual master. So this is the parampara system. As you receive knowledge step by step, Narayana, Krishna, instructed Vyasadeva. Brahma instructed Narada. Narada instructed Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva instructed his disciple Madhvacharya. In this way, we have to go through also in the same way. First of all, offer respect to the spiritual master, as he has done to Shukadev Goswami. Tam Vyasa Sunam Upayami Gurum Muninam. So then his spiritual master, then his spiritual master, then his spiritual master, then his spiritual master, just like you've got the pictures. First of all, your spiritual master, then his spiritual master, then his spiritual master, his spiritual master, his spiritual master, ultimately Krishna. This is the process. Don't try to approach Krishna directly, jump over. That is useless. As you receive knowledge through the steps, parampara system, similarly, we should approach Krishna through these steps. Narayanam namaskritya, naram cheva narottamam, devim saraswatim vyasam, tato jayam udirayat. In this way, you become glorified. Reading from the purport. All the Vedic literatures and the Puranas are meant for conquering the darkest region, Tamo Andham. We have already discussed Atiti Tashatam, Samsarinam Karunayaha, Purāṇa Guhyam, Adhyatma Deepam, Atititir Shatam Tamoandam, Atititir Shatam. That is human civilization, how to get out of this darkness of ignorance. Not the dogs and cats jumping in very jubilant. I'm big dog, let me jump over. This is not civilization. That is animal civilization. They are jumping naked. We are jumping dressed, that's all. That is the difference. Otherwise, where is the difference? So long we've got this bodily concept of life. Let me enjoy this body, senses. Body means the senses. Indriyani paranyahu. So long one is in the darkness, his predominant feature of enjoyment is the senses. That's all. Let me enjoy. I've got this tongue. Let me whole day go to the restaurant, cut throat of this animal, that animal, and enjoy. And let him go to hell. Let me enjoy. This is jiva loba. Tarmadye jivayati lobhamaya sudurmati take jita katina samsari. Bhaktivedanta Thakur says, amongst the senses, the most powerful sense is the tongue. Most powerful sense. You see, they are smoking, chain smoker, going on. What is this? There is some sensation. And if we smoke cigarette or drink, it is simply the tongue. The tongue is dictating, do this, do that, take this, take coffee, take tea, smoke, take flesh, take chicken, take this, take this, take. That means that out of the senses, out of all the senses, the tongue is most formidable. Therefore, Bhaktivedanta Thakur says, Tarmadye jivayati lobamaya sudurmati takejito katina samsari. It is very difficult to conquer over the tongue. And if you can conquer over the tongue, then you can conquer over the belly, and then you can conquer over the genital, the straight line, one after another. Tarmadye jivayati. So you know the story. That one dog was crossing over a small rivulet, and he saw the picture of another dog in the water. And actually, there was no dog. He was carrying some food in his mouth, and he saw another dog within the water. So he thought, let me take his foodstuff from the mouth. And as he opened the mouth, he wanted to take the other dog's foodstuff. So whatever he had, gone. You see, this is dog philosophy. Take away. Take others' meal, he loses his own. This is called illusion, Maya. You did not read Aesop's fable story? It is very instructive story. This is dog's philosophy. This is dog's philosophy. All these so-called empire, this Roman Empire was expanded, the British Empire was expanded. Now they've lost everything. Finished. Finished. The dog's business was finished. So this kind of expansion unnecessarily. Therefore, our philosophy is be satisfied whatever God has given you. Tena tyaktina bhunjita magridaha kasyasit danam. You be satisfied whatever is given to you by God, allotted to you. Don't try to encroach upon others' property. This is civilization. But man is transgressing this law, nature. They're not satisfied to become localized. They want to expand. If you want to expand, but expand something which would be beneficial to the human society, just like we are expanding Krishna consciousness, that is required to be expanded, because the cats and dog civilization will be controlled. But to expand the cats and dog civilization to compete with another dog is the same story. Aesop fable story, to capture the other dog and take his foodstuff and then lose everything. That is very instructive. Hare Krishna. Comments, Vishwakarma? Go ahead, comment, Mr. Karma.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very profound reading from our spiritual master, Śrīla Prabhupāda, on the futility of human life and how lost the conditioned souls are in this world. Prabhupada makes states in the Bhagavatam here, in the purport of text 5, anything except Krishna can give us temporary satisfaction only. And if we have to have complete satisfaction, we must take to the questions and answers about Krishna. We cannot live for a moment without being questioned or without giving answers. So the living entity, Prabhupada explains, Yaśodā Prabhu, that even the birds have questions. They're asking in the morning, they're chirping, where is food? Where is sex? So they're looking for solutions. How can I find this means of happiness or survival? So in the material world, people have all kinds of questions. But if they're on the animal platform, then they ask the wrong question. And as a result, they go nowhere. They're asking questions, they're getting answers. How can I get a better car? How can I buy a bigger house? How can I increase my bank balance? All kinds of questions. They go around in a circle, like a rat on a spinning wheel. They're caught in the illusion that they're the body. They're caught in the illusion that they'll live on, despite the fact that everyone must die. I was speaking to my sister yesterday. She said, oh, there's one thing you can be sure of: death and taxes. But if you're so sure of death and taxes, why don't you ask the question, why was I born? What happens to me when I die? They don't have an answer. In fact, these days, people are so bewildered that they have no interest in anything spiritual. The questions and answers are all mundane. We have a song, The Mundaners. People that have no transcendental understanding whatsoever of spiritual nature. I had a preacher come to me a few days ago, and it was very interesting that he was 88 years old, from Trinidad. When he was invited to the house for prasadam, I thought, I wonder if he'll come in with a cane. Maybe he'll be in a wheelchair. But surprisingly, this person was extremely fit for 88 years of age. And so we sat and talked. I thought, I'll listen first and hear what he has to say. And he started glorifying Jesus. Jesus, Jesus, save us. Let us make these prayers. I call upon Jesus to enlighten us, to bless us today. I want to buy a new house. There's a beautiful $3.5 million house up the street from where I'm living now. And I pray to Jesus, let us call upon Jesus to give me the money so I can go buy this house at 88 years of age. So, of course, I'm listening. I'm thinking, I wonder, Where are these people at? Then he mentions to me, I cooked prasadam for them. I made a beautiful mung dal soup and rice and some avocado and yogurt like that. So he made a comment while he was eating to us. He said, "Oh, I never eat just vegetarian." This is, in fact, after 88 years, he said, "This is the first time I've eaten a vegetarian meal." Of course, it's prasadam. We're Prabhupada-Ācāryans. We're not vegetarians, but at any rate, it was a vegetarian preparation. And I'm thinking to myself, how is it that this person is calling upon Jesus for everything, and at the same time, he sits down every day and eats meat? The karma from that meat eating is so horrendous, so horrific, that his soul will perish at the time of death into a lower species of life because of his uncontrollable tongue. Prabhupada mentions here the tongue is very difficult to control, and the senses run in a line: the tongue, the belly, the genital. So the bird is thinking like that. Where is sex? Where is food? This is a mundane life that these people are creating on this planet. And because of it, there are all kinds of social, political, and spiritual matters that are not being solved by them. And this world is going to hell. As fast as you can see it, it is happening. They have no solutions. There is no political solution for the war in Ukraine. They're fighting for what reason? Who can understand this? This war is going on. Why are they fighting? And now they're destroying the cities. They're killing people without any discrimination. This is a demoniac society. They do not know how to use their intelligence to ask the proper questions and get the right answers. And that is what this message of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is today. That unless one comes to the human form of life, unless one learns to ask the right questions and get the right answers from the bona fide sources, and we're so blessed, everyone, really. We're so blessed by the fact that we are reading these books that Śrīla Prabhupada delivered to us through his hard work in his Vani incarnation. That Prabhupada is still personally present with us. It's such a wonderful experience for me personally to be part of this class with all of you. It's amazing. And what it makes me remember is the times when I was a brahmachari in the early 70s, and we were sitting around our group and listening to the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and relishing it. And no different now in the year 2023 with all of you, I feel the same ecstasy that we are all relishing the transcendental sound vibration from the pure devotee who's giving us the insight how to get out of this body made of blood, pus, stool, and urine. How we get out of the mental state of speculation and mental concoction, which goes on day after day, and all people can do is ask stupid questions and get stupid answers. That's what's going on. This is pathetic. At least we have a solution, and our responsibility is to share that with others, as we discussed earlier at the beginning of the class. If you've been saved, now it's your responsibility to save others. That is Krishna Consciousness movement. That is the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And humbly enter into this platform of spiritual service. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, please.
Well, it's quite significant when we read Śrīla Prabhupāda's teachings, how he often comes back to the same theme, that people should stop, should cease these sinful activities: meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling. When we analyze human society, this is the very life of this, especially this Western civilization, of the whole human civilization all over the world, these sinful activities. We are familiar with Prabhupada, when Bhaktisiddhanta's disciples went to England, there was one Marquis of Zetland who told the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, "Can you make me a Brahmin?" They say, "Oh yes, we can make you a Brahmin." So they told him, you have to stop all meat eating, meat, eggs, fish, onions, no intoxication, no tea, no coffee, no intoxication, no gambling, no mental speculation. Follow these 4 principles, then you chant and you'll be a Brahmin. He says, "Oh, that is," and the Marquis of Zetland, Prabhupada relates a story that you mentioned, "Oh, I cannot do that because this is our life. These sinful activities are their very existence." Anybody who looks at the media nowadays, we can see there's very strong emphasis on illicit sex, gambling. There's all kinds of gambling websites now. People can even gamble on their cell phone. Football, baseball, soccer, hockey, all kinds of gambling. Illicit sex, gambling, meat eating, all kinds of nonsense, mental speculation. Therefore, the whole social atmosphere is disturbed. There is conflict. Prabhupada mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, because of this meeting, human beings are becoming more brutal and more cruel to one another. All kinds of conflicts all over the world are going on in so many places on a basis of false identification with the body, because of one religious group, because of one religious interpretation, because of wanting to encroach upon somebody else's land. Well, who does the land belong to? We have read in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 29, Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutpanam Nyatmamam Shantim Richati. Shanti means peace. This is the peace formula, that God is the proprietor of everything. He is the enjoyer of all the sacrifice and the fruits of everybody's work. And he is the friend of all living entities. There is no need of all the dissension, the warmongering, the nonsense. The reason why that takes place is because of the false illusion that this is my property, my land, my this, my that. And if even as devotees, if devotees are not careful to follow the order of the spiritual master, that false ego will come back in. It will infiltrate again, and they'll think this is my zone, my temple, my money, my this, my that. We've seen this. Even with devotees who had received mercy from the spiritual master, who had been initiated, who did nice service in a mission, but they let that false ego of disobedience of the order of the Acharya, and then Maya came in. This is my zone, don't come here. This is my disciple, don't talk to him. This is my money. There was one such foolish person posing and pretending to be an Acharya and a guru. He says, this is my temple, this is my money, and this is my disciple. I can do whatever I want with it. Talk about false ego. So this is what we have to guard against. We are preaching that materialistic people are being influenced by false ego. But if as devotees, they behave the same way, whether they have tilak and shaven head and dhoti, what is the difference? We have to guard against the reinfiltration of this kind of Maya. And this is why we see just the other day, I was reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meeting Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. When they were at Dabir Kash and Sakar Madik, they were employed in the service, very high service, of the Mohammedan king, the Mohammedan ruler. And when they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they expressed themselves, we are the most fallen. These were very actually exalted souls. They were eternally liberated souls playing a specific pastime. But when they approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, Namo Mahabhadanyaya, you are the most munificent incarnation. Why? Krishna Prema Pradayate, because you're giving Krishna Prema. Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurat Vishinama. We offer our most respectful obeisances unto you, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Then they went on, they say, Matulyo Nasti Pabatma. There's no more sinful person than us. Na Paradicha Kasta. There's no greater offender than us. Talk about exalted souls. They're not thinking, this is my zone, this is my this. No. They're thinking, they're the most exalted, but they're thinking we are the most serious offenders. Just see the exalted humility of these personalities. It is amazing, because now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day will be observed tomorrow, and this is a greater to remember. What did our Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teach us? This Trinadapisu Chitsunichena is not just a verse to keep on the shelf. It's for us to practice, to think about it, to meditate about it, to basically absorb this, to imbibe this in our lives. Not say, oh, I've read it before, I know all about it. No. Every day, every second of the day. Achyutananda Swami told me one time in South India, after we had a very intensive debate with some Mayavadi nonsense person, and he very quickly defeated him. And he said it used to be a practice in India that all the saintly persons, they would take one verse of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Vedas, some kind of verse, and they would constantly meditate on that verse all day, all the different meanings. What does this mean? How does it apply to my life? How can I imbibe in my life, in my character, in my sadhana, this exemplary teachings in this verse, that verse? This is what Lord Chaitanya has given us as represented by Śrīla Prabhupada, his Lord Chaitanya's foremost representative. Hare Krishna.
Yes, this is a very good point that you've made, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. How can we imbibe these teachings into our life? I'd like to ask Ram Raghava if he could comment on that particular statement for us this morning. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for letting me be part of this group. It's very enlivening. As far as how we make it a part of our life, I'd like to share one verse that I've been reading for a long time from Śrīla Prabhupāda's books, from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And it's very easy to remember. It's the 3rd canto, 25th chapter, 25th verse.
What was that? Third canto?
3rd canto, 25th chapter, 25th verse.
Okay.
So it's easy to remember because it's 3:25:25. Satang prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hit karna rasayana kataha tajjo shanad ashva apavarga vartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishati. In the Association of Pure Devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begins. So this was taken from a lecture in Bombay in 1974, and also in May of 1973. So I've been reading this verse for a long time, but by being a part of a group such as this, it actually comes to life, how pleasing it is to the heart to discuss Krishna Consciousness and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in the Association of Devotees. And I'd also like to share a couple of verses because Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu mentioned why we are trying to introduce more people to Krishna Consciousness. And of course, Śrīla Prabhupāda, our spiritual master, gave that order. And to give the background of what Mahabhagavata devotee is thinking of, where that feeling of compassion comes from, I'd like to read a couple of verses and share them with you. First one is from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 7:9-44. Prayena deva munaya sva vimukti kama maunang charanti vijane na pararthanishtaha netan vihaya kripanan vimuksha eko nanyang tvad asya sharanam brahmato anupashye. So this is Prahlad Maharaj speaking to Lord Nrsingadev.
Mm-hmm.
My dear Lord Nrsingadev, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance. Not caring for the big cities and towns, they go to the Himalayas or the forest to meditate with vows of silence, Maunavrat. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter at your lotus feet. So that's the mentality of a great Mahabhagavata devotee, taking compassion on all the fallen conditioned souls. And if you'll bear with me, please, I would like to share one more verse. This is from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 7:9-43. And especially the last line has been quoted by Śrīla Prabhupāda in many morning walks. Nevod vijay para duratyaya vetaranyas tvad-virya gayana mahamrita magna chittaha soche tato vimukha chetasa indriyartha maya sukhaya bharam udvahato vimudhan. O best of the great personalities. Again, this is Prahlad Maharaj, Lord Nrsingadev. I am not at all afraid of material existence, for wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. So just on the order of our spiritual master, Śrīla Prabhupāda, if we follow his direction and introduce Krishna consciousness to whoever we meet, we will gain that compassion, which we may not have in the beginning, but just by following the orders of our spiritual master, we will gain that compassion for all the fallen conditioned souls. Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Excellent. Yes, that is really the mission of the devotee, is to serve the mission of our spiritual master, which is to spread the glories of the Sankirtan mission, the glories of the holy name, and the glories of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and Chaitanya Charitamrita to other souls who are asking foolish questions and getting no answers. I wanted to call upon our friend Nrsinga. I was almost going to say Nrsinga Parvat, Prabhu, because I know I've seen that so commonly in your writings, just as a different name. I know you're Nrsinga Prabhu. When did you take initiation, Prabhu, before you start? Your microphone, please. Get your microphone.
Yeah, it's on now.
Okay, thank you.
It's
Nope.
Nrsinga Das.
Nrsinga Das, I've got it.
Parvat is just my email address. So
Yes, I know.
You see that when I send my email. When did I take initiation? In 1971. I joined.
What month?
Late in 71, like October,
December?
November.
Okay.
And actually, that's when I joined.
I took initiation in 71 as well, in July in Detroit. Go ahead, please.
Well, I first heard the holy name through George Harrison's song. I had no idea what it meant. This is the power of the holy name, is that even though George Harrison wasn't a pure devotee, and the people singing Hare Krishna were definitely just professional singers, but Prabhupada blessed it, so it had potency. And I was probably from last lives, I was immediately attracted to Hare Krishna, but I had no idea what it meant. just a few weeks later, I met some devotees, and I got just a small sheet from them. It's not even a pamphlet, just a one sheet mimeographed page. And from that, I was convinced. I wanted to go to the temple, but somehow I lost that. And I didn't know where the temple was. So I went to the college religious center. And it's always good to have our presence in these centers, big University of Houston. And they knew exactly where the temple was. So devotees were on top of the university scene, although there was only a few devotees in that temple in Houston at that time. And when I went to the temple, I was convinced. From the moment I walked in the temple, I felt the transcendental atmosphere. I had some prasadam, and that was it for me. I wanted to join. But to the point you were making about expanding Krishna consciousness, it's always a question in my mind, how far do you go to make it available to other people? In 1980s, mid-80s, I wrote a spiritual novel called The Way of Vaishnava Sages, which was published by University Press of America. And I was wondering, in this, should I write another novel? Or am I wasting my time? How far to go? And we've seen now that ISKCON has made Hare Krishna popular in one sense, on a wider range of people, with song and dance and other attractions, but they've lost the real meaning of Krishna consciousness, as Yaśodā-nandana was pointing out. They've simply become proud of some big following or some money or some institutional status. Now ISKCON is accepted as a mainstream religion. There's no, my parents tried to deprogram me 3 times. They hired Ted Patrick, and you don't see that anymore. ISKCON is not a threat to the status quo. It's part of the status quo. So it looks like they've gone too far in popularizing Krishna consciousness. Although some of those people who hear the holy name, even though they may have associated with ISKCON, they may come out of that if there's some avenue or venue for association. So most people need that physical contact. We were just reading that because the conditioned soul doesn't understand, he can't reciprocate with Chaita Guru in the heart. Krishna helps by sending the spiritual master a physical form. So they're very much insistent upon this physical form of a spiritual master. What they don't understand is that the physical form of a pseudo-spiritual master is useless. And we do have Prabhupada's murti that we can worship physically and have a relationship in that way. But they may argue that Prabhupada, I was having a discussion with one ISKCON guru, and he said, we can't write a letter to Prabhupada now and have him confirm that some new devotee can be accepted for initiation. Completely bogus argument I've answered elsewhere, but this is the idea, Chaita Guru. How are we going to know what the guru wants unless he's physically present? So that's a whole nother discussion. Of course, we all know the answer to that. Prabhupada has provided the answer to all the questions and has so many volumes of books. And there's no need to revise these books or to update the answers in this day and age. Everything is still applicable exactly as Śrīla Prabhupāda spoke it. But I wanted to ask a question also in line with what's been discussed so far. The one verse that came to mind when Ram Raghava was speaking and when Vishwakarma was speaking also was one of my favorite verses from Bhagavatam. It says, you may know that I don't have the number right offhand, unfortunately, but life's desire should only be aimed at self-realization. Life's desire should never be aimed at sense gratification. One should desire to live only because the human form of life is an opportunity to inquire about self-realization. So that inquiry of self-realization is the only inquiry that has any meaning or any purpose at all. And then my question was this, what is the difference between bhakti yoga, karma yoga, and karma kanda? Because it seems like ISKCON and some of the other ISKCON branches in India are mixing karma kanda with Krishna consciousness. So my question is, can karma kanda be used in Krishna consciousness?
We can ask Yaśodā-nandana to answer that question for you.
Well, it's an excellent question, because we see that many times devotees engage in activities that seem to be pure bhakti, but because it becomes mixed, or in Sanskrit it's called mishra, mixed with fruitive activities and mental speculation. And we've seen this, that Prabhupada gave the perfect standard. And I keep giving this example. Prabhupada said the proper example, how he wanted kirtan to be sung, which mantras should be chanted, how they should be chanted, and what should the standard be. Just like yesterday we were discussing how Prabhupada introduced the Mangalarti. He introduced a morning tune, the Samsara prayers, Namaum Vishnu Padaya, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. He also said that we could chant Jeev Jago, the song of Bhaktivedanta Thakur. This is the standard Mangalarti that was given during the manifested presence of Śrīla Prabhupada. Now, what happened is, after Prabhupada departed, various other spiritual advisors or spiritual persons, or whoever it may be, leaders, started to introduce new bhajans that he introduced during Mangalarti. Now we see that different kirtans that are being done in various centers of that society, they're inventing new mantras. In other words, there is the standard of pure bhakti that was given by the Acharya, practiced by the Acharya, and introduced by the Acharya Śrīla Prabhupāda. But sometimes we see overzealous disciples, they like to invent or fabricate new procedures, new mantras. Just like I was explaining yesterday during the Bhagavad class, that in some centers they're chanting a mantra, Jai Radhe, Jai Sri Krishna, Bolo Radhe, some kind of mantra like that. But we do know that during the manifested presence of Śrīla Prabhupada, this bhajan was not given. Now, if somebody wants to argue, well, they're glorifying Radhe, what is wrong with that? Yeah, you should glorify Radhe the way that Radhe's pure devotee, Śrīla Prabhupada, is introduced, not concocting unauthorized mantra. You know, this is Guru Avagnya, disobedience. And we see various demigod worship have been introduced, various car pujas have been introduced, all kinds of practices. This is what Narasimha Prabhu was referring to, karma kanda practices or philanthropic work to basically get money from Hindus. Now, I can appreciate that some people will say, well, we're trying to preach, we're trying to do this, we're trying to do that. That's nice. But the preaching and the presentation should be according to Prabhupada's standard, not inventing or manufacturing new procedure. Otherwise, it becomes karma mishra bhakti. It's some devotion, but it's mixed up with fruitive activities and speculative idea, and becomes quasi-sahajya, like this idea of car pujas. One woman from Texas called me on the phone some time back. He says that she was invited to the temple, the ISKCON temple, and some priest was doing a car puja. They're bringing out the deity and the procession deity from the temple to do a car puja. Why? Because they were giving money to the temple, so they're doing a car puja. But this is not the standard. This is not what Prabhupada introduced. I hope it helps.
Moving forward, thank you both for your comments and questions. You mentioned Texas. I see Dharma Bhavana Prabhu is with us on the line.
He
I
knows
see
what I'm talking about.
many posts from you, Dharma Bhavana. Congratulations on your efforts. Could you maybe give us some insights on today's questions and answers that the Karmis are giving and what the real questions and answers of life should be?
Okay, I will speak just a little bit. We covered so many topics today. It was actually
Yes.
pretty fabulous type of all the different things covered. I was just thinking how as devotees attending this class, I like to support the class and just attend, but at the same time, those who are taking the time to prepare for the class, taking leadership positions, it is quite pretty amazing thing, a great devotional service, because I think everybody should really appreciate that all this effort is being done, because so many devotees are living in different cities and states and areas, and just how it seemed like Krishna's arranged this COVID-19 problem, yet devotees could associate more in a better way through this, through our cell phones and computers, through the Zoom programs. And I was just mentioning how, you speak about karma kanda. Imagine 300 or 400 years from now, if devotees are introducing demigod worship and car pujas, we can just imagine what will happen in the future. The things Prabhupada gave us are very simple. One thing I didn't know, I never heard Jiv Jago chanted during the Mangala Arati. If that was the standard that was given or done, that's wonderful. I just never had heard that before. I know some temples, they do Udilarana Purva Bhagi, the other type of morning. But that's a very important point. If we start doing all different things without any kind of discretion, it will degrade into something very, very material very fast without Prabhupada's instruction. That's all. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Prabhu, and keep up your good work. We have on the call today, on this Zoom call, we have a Prabhupada disciple from Hawaii who resides in Hawaii now. Jonas Priya, what do you think about the questions and answers of the material world and how we can solve the problems of life by a Krishna conscious approach to these questions and answers?
Hare Krishna, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Please accept my humble obeisances to everybody.
Haribol.
First, I want to thank Vishwakarma and Yasoda-nandana Prabhu for being on the air doing this for us. These are two great personalities, and they're very, very sincere, and they're the pioneers of this Sangha. So we're very fortunate to have their association. And I'm just a little nobody servant trying to become servant of Krishna. I think there's some hope for me, as long as I keep on associating with Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, because this sadhu sangha is so important in our life. And as Prabhupada Nugas, it becomes a little difficult because many of our so-called God brothers, they want to be on the other side. And it just amazes me, how could they become so blind? And they see what's going on, and they're powerless because they have this fear that they'll lose their position, whatever that is, within ISKCON, and they won't be accepted or whatever. It's truly, truly amazing. So we have to be kind to all Prabhupada disciples and patient with them. So I think Prabhupada is sitting in every one of our heart. If we're his disciple, Prabhupada is there. And as soon as we want to reach Prabhupada, he's right there. It's like instant coffee. You don't have to wait, it's right there. It's a bad example, sorry, but Prabhupada is so already there. And Prabhupada says he's very much present on his pictures and on his audios. And if you simply, I have Prabhupada pretty much all day long, japa or class, even if I'm not paying full attention, but just to have that vibration in your ashram, it's so amazing. Every spiritual vibration goes around the planet many, many, many times. So we get enough of this vibration going, things might get better for us to go and preach. These are very difficult times we're living. We're so fortunate that Prabhupada didn't make it a mystery like most yogis, bhogi yogis do. Prabhupada made it very clear, this is what you have to do. You just don't concoct anything, don't invent any new tunes, don't invent any new dances. Simply do what I did, and your life will be successful. And so I'm trying to do that in my life as much as I can. And I would like to invite the devotees to come and visit us in Hawaii. We have a beautiful house, half a block from the ocean.
What part of Hawaii are
Everybody's
you?
very much welcome to come and visit.
Where do you live in Hawaii?
We're on the
Which
north
island?
shore of Oahu.
Where?
Oahu is the name of the island, and we're on the Oahu, Honolulu.
Okay.
And we're on the north shore part of the island. There's a ridge of mountains in between. Prabhupada loved Hawaii. He just loved Hawaii, especially the mangoes, yeah. And he said the people in Hawaii are very much ready to hear, because they're on the mode of goodness. The whole atmosphere is on the mode of goodness. People are relaxed. People are happy, so-called happy materially, but at least they have a good opportunity. And Prabhupada, I live like where Prabhupada came to Hawaii the very first time. Govinda Dasi rented a house that's like a couple miles from my house. And Prabhupada used to walk from there, walk to a park called Swansea Beach Park. Prabhupada would take this walk every morning. And there was a dog there, a big German Shepherd dog. And this dog will run along Prabhupada, like, how cats and dogs run by you real fast. So this dog used to run in between Prabhupada's legs somehow. I don't understand that one. He used to do it. So the day that Prabhupada left, the dog died the next day.
Oh.
We experienced this in other places in LA. Prabhupada was on the morning walk, and a cat came and he kind of pushed it with his foot. He didn't kick it, he pushed it. Prabhupada left the next day, same thing. Little kitty died. That happened here in Honolulu. So we're so very fortunate that somehow by hook or crook or by our own endeavors, it could be a combination of our karmas that we were gifted the greatest gift that a human could receive in this life, to become in contact with a pure devotee of the Lord. That's like very, very rare gift. So if we have that gift, let's not waste that gift. Especially we're on the final stretch of our lives. Most of us, I'm 74. Most of us we have such little time left. Why wasted pursuing some temporary material thing? Just give it up. I'm begging for people to pray for me and give me mercy and engage me in Krishna service. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, thank you. Unfortunately, everyone, we're coming to the end of our program. I had more people I wanted to call on today from around the world, but we will table that for Wednesday or tomorrow. Now we're having a Chaitanya Charitamrita reading, The Birth of Lord Chaitanya. They'll be conducted by our dear godbrother Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. So we invite everyone to attend that at 6 o'clock. Vinkat, do you have the invitations ready for that, or how should they be notified?
Yeah, I'll send an email out. It's the same link, so it's the same link that we use today. Actually, the link is the same for all our meetings, and I'll send an email out anyways in the next 1 hour.
Oh, thank you. And we do want to thank Vinkat Prabhu for his hard efforts and very focused efforts as Bhakta Vinkat in helping to coordinate this Sadhu Sangha, Guru Shastra Sadhu. It is very important. We have Guru A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. We have Shastra, his books, and we have the association of all of us, the Prabhupada Disciples Association. Those people who accept Prabhupada is still living with us. He lives in sound in his Vani incarnation with us all. So this is our great opportunity, as Janis Priya said, to take advantage of this association, to take advantage of the opportunity to stay focused, not be narcissistic. This narcissism, this isolationism, this indifference to everyone is not the way that we want to conduct this work that we're doing. And I think it was one of the Prabhus here was mentioning about the use of technology. Like today here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, it's snowing. The ice is on the ground. I know some devotees in Russia, they go out even in the snow. But here, there's nobody on the streets. Everybody's hiding out in their dwellings because of the weather conditions. But with us, we're able to associate with all of you, all of us together by the use of technology. And this is the proper dovetailing of the material world and the facilities that it provides the conditioned souls. We're dovetailing this in the service of Krishna. So all of you, in wherever area you are, carry on with your work. Continue to do whatever you feel is best to transmit this message to others. I got a hold of a guy in Alachua, Florida. They have some kind of group. We're looking for a unity and diversity, by the way, where we're all together, even though we're in diverse places. He has some kind of organization. He sends out a regular newsletter. So I wrote him back. I asked him, who are you? What is your, who are the members of your group? And then I wrote an explanation about what we're about, the Prabhupada Disciples Association. And he so kindly, it described our classes, the membership, the numbers of thousands of people that are joining with us, and the thousands of people we're reaching as we move forward with this message. And he sent out a letter to his network. The letter I sent him describing our position, it's posted on Prabhupada Disciples Association. He sent it out to his network. So like that, all of us can engage in different methods for propagating our work to others in our local areas. And in this way, we'll continue to grow this mission of placing Prabhupada at the center point of Krishna consciousness on this globe. Vinkat Prabhu, thank you again. If you could play the kirtan. Now after, we're going to stay on and have a discussion on any topics that you want for some time, depending if people have any other questions. So we'll hear the kirtan. Please chant along. And then if you want to stay on, we can ask all kinds of questions and have a brief discussion further and then end our program. Hare Krishna. Glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna